Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're going to be doing our very first AMD Radeon RX 480 Showdown. So this will be really interesting. It's going to be the first in a long line of showdowns with the RX 480, especially after all the non-reference SKUs of this card will come out. Should be very interesting. And we're going to be putting it up against the GTX 1070. This one is the Gigabyte G1 gaming model. So this has been requested by a lot of you guys out there. It's going to be quite interesting, although they're technically not in the same class when you think about the price difference between them and everything else. But it'll still be quite interesting because a lot of people want to know, is the extra cost of the 1070 worth it for its extra performance, basically? And yeah, or should I just save my money if you maybe were saving up for a 1070 and just go with an RX 480? Like, is the performance decrease that bad or anything like that? But let's jump straight into the video. So we'll talk about the RX 480 first. So GPU wise, you're getting the 14 nanometer Polaris 10 GPU. And that's coming with 2,304 cores. Whereas over on the GTX 1070, it's coming with the 16 nanometer GP104 GPU. And that has 1,920 CUDA cores. Now, don't read too much into that because it's, well, just don't. Just take it from me, okay? Just don't. Because I don't want to make it too complicated because I hate losing you guys. Let's talk about the TDP then. So they're actually coming with exactly the same TDP, well, max TDP of 150 watts. They're also coming with exactly the same type of memory, 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory on a 256-bit bus at 8,000 megahertz. So exactly the same in terms of memory. Now let's talk quickly about the coolers then. So the RX 480 is coming with this new reference design cooler from AMD. I really like the look of it, although honestly, now that I've had it for a little bit, you can definitely tell like this is all plastic. It doesn't have that premium feel of, say, an Nvidia reference model like the 1070 or the 1080 Founders Edition, but to be fair, this is also significantly cheaper, so, you know, whatever. No backplate on this guy. Now, it is a blower style cooler, which means that it will intake from the back here and also from the front and then exhaust it straight out of the case. That's really good. It stops all the hot air blowing around in your system. However, generally a blower style cooler like this will not cool the GPU as effectively as a non-reference design. Now let's move over to the 1070 then. So this obviously has the WindForce cooler on it, as it is the G1 Gaming. This is a really nice cooler. We've already done a showdown with this G1 Gaming before, and I really like it. Honestly, I haven't tested any of the other non-reference 1070s or 1080s yet. However, if this one is anything to go off, then I'm in for a treat because this is an absolutely fantastic cooler on this card. Fantastic cooling performance, but also very low noise. So I was really impressed by it. It looks great. It's very sexy. Gigabyte usually over the years has done a very consistently good job when it comes to their non-reference graphics cards. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the clock speeds then, and then we'll jump into the benchmarks. So this is something I just have to mention first, because it's actually something I didn't see. I mean, I'm sure some reviewers have talked about it, but I haven't actually seen a lot of reviewers say this about the RX 480, and that is throttling. So it has a standard boost clock speed of 1,266 megahertz, which is great. You know, that's pretty decent. However, you need to also keep in mind that this did throttle. You can go into AMD's, what's it called, Wattman, their new software in Crimson, and you can adjust the temperature target on this. By default, it's 80 I think the temperature target is 80, but it tends to like to hover around the 82, 83 degree mark, but it will be throttling itself. So I saw it throttle, but it was only really throttling a little bit, so it basically only lost about 1 FPS. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, we didn't see any throttling over on the 1070 because, of course, it has this fantastic cooler on it, so it didn't even get that hot anyways. And also that this will boost really, really high. This G1 Gaming I've got goes all the way up to 2025 megahertz, so that's a huge difference in clock speed between these two graphics cards. So, with all that out of the way, let's jump into the benchmarks and see how these cards perform. And we're back. So quite interesting there. Obviously, it's a big win there for the 1070, but that's to be expected. I mean, this is in New Zealand. It's $400 more than this 8GB RX480, as this is coming in at $900 and the RX480 is coming in at $500. It's just New Zealand pricing. For you people that live over in America and you think it's crazy, again, this is in New Zealand dollars, keep in mind, but it's also just, New Zealand is just so far away from everybody else. It costs a fortune. So that was all quite interesting, but what's probably going to be more interesting to you guys is the performance per dollar. So we'll jump into that then. So on average, if we added all of those benchmarks together for the RX480, the average FPS it comes out at is 48.4 FPS. And it's coming with its price of $500, which means it gets a performance, the cost per frame, I should say, is $10.03, or $10.30, I'm sorry, per frame that it's putting out, which is pretty decent actually. Then we do the 1070. So that's, if we added it all together again, It's getting an average of 78.7 frames per second, so that's quite a bit higher. But then, of course, it's got that $900 price tag as well, which means it works out to be $11.40 per frame. So performance per dollar-wise, even with New Zealand's crazy pricing, the RX480 wins by exactly $1 or $1.10. So that's quite interesting, actually, and a good win there for the 480 if you're looking at it from that point of view. So let's now talk about temperatures then. So how did they do temperatures wise? So we've got to say again about the thermal issue with the RX 480. Now this is something that the reference models, the R9 290 and 290X, had a big issue with as well, which is why I'm telling you guys, wait until we see some non-reference RX 480s, especially some from Sapphire, because they always do a really good job. And you'll probably see some big performance gains there. So with its thermal limit on, that's the factory one, it will go to about 82, 83 degrees Celsius. Okay, and the temperature limit in the software says 80, so it goes a little bit over. Now, if you take that away, it will go all the way up to 89 degrees Celsius. So you raise the limit all the way up to 90, which is the highest it can go. It'll go to 89 degrees Celsius. So yeah, big difference there. But as always, I leave everything as standard, just as anyone would if you plug and play these cards and put the drivers on and everything. So I'll show you what they do temperature-wise. So this is done in the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Extreme HD preset. The highest temperature I saw on the RX 480 was 83 degrees Celsius, and that was at 46% fan speed. And over on the G1 Gaming 1070, we were seeing 62 degrees Celsius at 41% fan speed. So a win there for the 1070, but it is to be expected given that it has this fantastic WindForce cooler on it. It is a non-reference model, so maybe don't read too much into that. But more interesting with the 480 with its thermals there with the stock limit on, it does hold it at about 82, 83 degrees Celsius. So that's okay, but you will see a little bit of throttling, which, as I said earlier, will make you lose about 1 FPS. Now let's talk about noise. So I did my noise testing in the exact same benchmark to see how they would do. Generally speaking, after using this 480 a little bit, it's pretty good, honestly. It's way better. This is no reference 290 or 290X. Let me assure you of that, guys. There's definitely no hairdryer going into your rig. So don't worry about that at all. But it's still louder than most non-reference graphics cards would be. So keep that in mind. But it is pretty good. So with your general gaming, you'll probably just get a sort of just a light to medium sort of hum from the PC, whereas the G1 Gaming is pretty much silent, so you can't really hear it. But as always, I'll let you guys judge for yourselves. So up first, we'll do the RX 480, and then we'll follow that up with the G1 Gaming 1070. So that should give you a bit of an idea. Of course, another win there for the 1070, but again, it's to be expected. This is a non-reference cooler, triple fan design versus a single fan blower design with the 480. But interesting there with 480, it definitely does a pretty decent job. It has quite a conservative fan curve straight out of the box, so that's good too. And I definitely don't think it's too noisy. It won't be too noisy for anybody out there, so definitely don't worry about that. They've really sorted out the cooler on this one, and it's a huge improvement over the reference 290 and 290X. Which leads us now to the conclusion. And who's the winner, and which one would I really recommend, and what do I think of the RX 480? So I do like the RX 480, especially for the price point it's coming in at. It punches above its weight. However, I think it needs time to mature in both. Maybe that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. It just needs, the drivers are brand new. This is a brand new GPU, and this is a reference design. So I think in a few more months, when AMD have maybe optimized the drivers better for the games, there's non-reference designs by Sapphire and Gigabyte and other great companies that are clocked higher, allow for better overclocking and no thermal throttling. Then I think you'll see the more true potential of the RX480 come out. However, the 1070 is still an absolutely excellent graphics card. Very, very powerful, as you can see. It's still coming in at quite a high price point, but it does give a lot of performance there. So basically, I would say it like this for now. If you're someone who's going to be playing at 1440p on a high refresh rate or 4K, then you should be looking at the 1070. Okay? However, if you're a person that's just playing at 1080p or maybe 1440p at 60 hertz, then you can definitely look at the RX480. However, I would say do not buy this reference model. Wait till there are non-reference models out. Preferably wait until I've done a showdown with all of them, so then I can tell you which ones are really good and which ones to go for, and then get it. I wouldn't really recommend this reference model. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, it's just I think the non-reference models will be a vast improvement over this one in terms of temps, noise, and of course performance and overclocking potential. So that's how I would basically round it out. If you've decided that the RX480 is for you, do not jump yet to buy it. Wait until there's some non-reference ones out and then go for that. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, because the next showdown we're going to be doing is the 1070 versus the 980 Ti, which is in my rig right now, because the 980 Ti is obviously going down in price massively. And is it worth it to go for this guy, or is it worth it to go for that guy? So that's what I'll basically talk about in that particular video. And then following up in the future, I'm going to be doing a Founders Edition 1080 showdown against two RX 480s in Crossfire. So I think that would be really interesting as well, because AMD was going on about that a lot in their press conference. So I want to do it myself and try two 480s against a single 1080 and see which one comes out on top. Thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.